Hello there, World of Tankers. Welcome to the channel. Hopefully all of you are doing well out there. I'm, of course, your host, World of Blitz, and in today's video, we're going to be doing one of the biggest matchmaking arguments that is in World of Tanks Blitz about skill-based matchmaking. Now, this is something a lot of people try to argue would make the game a lot better. Is that, let's say, 40% players can only go up against 40 to 50% players. 60% players can only go up against 50 to 60 to 70% players, so on and so forth, with a 10% higher and lower margin bracket. And while in theory it kind of sounds good, 60% players going up against 60%, people in their own bracket, it's also an absolutely useless way to fix the matchmaker in World of Tanks Blitz. Now, if you want to hear my personal opinions on what I think should be done to the matchmaker to make it better, go check out the video linked in the description that I posted earlier today if you haven't already seen it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, because I like to see what people think, if they have any ideas. But one thing that every single time I talk about the matchmaker, a lot of people always manage to bring up, and it gets a lot of likes, is that a skill-based matchmaker should be in place for World of Tanks Blitz. Well, fun fact, there already is a skill-based matchmaker. It exists right here. It's called ratings. If you literally read the description for ratings, fight against an equally powerful opponent, receive a rating and rewards, and progress higher in your league. So ratings is literally just skill-based matchmaking. If you want it, go play in ratings, and that is your skill-based matchmaking. Voila, you've got it. But the issue with ratings, first of all, is, and this is a very easy argument to make, is that first of all, if I'm, a 70%er, I average 72% or so in my tier 10s, and it's not a boast or anything like that. Just statistically, I average about 70% in my tier 10s for at least 30 days. So the way it works is that, let's say I'm playing ratings, right? Well, what's going to happen eventually is like when I was trying to earn my IS6 Fearless, you're going to get to a point where when you're 5,000 in rating, if you're a really skilled person, that you're just going to sit there and you're not going to get in the battles because the game's going to try and match another 14 70 to 60% players in your game. Now, statistically, on average, the win rate for any average player is about 48%. That's what the average win rate across all the servers is in the game, 48%. So that means that for a player like me, a player like Fatness, or a player that's averaging, let's just say, 70 to 75% in your tier 10s, that means that statistically you're performing or you're causing about 20 to 25% of the games you play in your favor. You are causing, those 20-25% of the games you play are wins because of you. Those are your skill. So that's a good example to show how the games you win. If you're, a 50%er, you're just winning about 50% of the games. But, 70%er, you're putting in about that much more influence to win the games compared to the average person. But the thing is first of all, you would have to find another 14 60 to 70% players in a queue to get into that ratings game. That sucks. That absolutely sucks. That means that, like, when I was trying to get my IS6 Fearless, sometimes it would take upwards of, 20 to 30 minutes just to get in a tier 10 to tier 8 battle. Now, can you imagine, let's say I want to have a little bit of fun and I'm a 70% average player in my KV2. There's not going to be any skilled players that are probably going to be playing in tier 6, so I might have to sit for 2 hours in queue just to get in one tier 6 game. There's a reason why ratings lowest tier is tier 7, because they know that any tier lower than that would be so ridiculously long in the queue times that it would be absolutely worthless. Now, an argument that a lot of people sometimes make is that, oh, you're ruining the matchmaker because you're playing a tier 6. Shame on you, Droodles. When I made a KV2 video once, or like a couple weeks ago, and I said that the KV2 is a really fun tank, people should try it. And some guy commented that shame on me for playing the KV2 because I'm causing newer people to have a worse experience playing the game because I'm a skilled player. Now, the argument that I never understand, and this is something that really makes no sense. Of course, seal clubbing, I don't agree with. Playing tier 2 to tier 3, that's something that, like, skilled people, honestly, I don't understand that part. If you're a skilled player and you're playing in tier 2 to 3, yeah, maybe if you're doing it like for a meme, I understand. But if you're actually doing it to raise your win rate, then that's just stupid, and that I don't understand. But tier 6, tier 5, that I can understand. Tier 6 is a fun tier. There's a lot of tier 6s in the game that are quite fun to run, like the KV2, the SG-100Y is quite a fun vehicle. Tier 7, it doesn't matter. There's so many people, if you didn't know, the Smasher and the Annihilator are like the most played tanks and bought tanks in the game currently. So why can't a skilled player run a tank like the Smasher when a 40-50%er can? It doesn't make any sense to me. And the bigger argument that makes absolutely no sense is that right, let's say Jimmy, and if he's a 70%er, right? And, this is a perfect example here. Let's say this person up against Jimmy is Bobby. Bobby's a 40% player. He doesn't 100% know all the mechanics in the game, but Jimmy does. Jimmy knows how to play the tank. Now, they're both running, let's say, the same equipment. They're both running Adrenaline. They're both exactly the same equipment. There is not a singular advantage. You could say, just looking at the tanks, there is not a singular advantage you could find statistically or anything. You could not find a singular advantage between this E100 over the enemy's E100. Bobby and Jimmy's E100 are exactly the same in every single aspect. So why is it that a skilled player isn't allowed to fight against a not as skilled player? It's not like they have an advantage over 40%ers. Yeah, the advantage is called using their brain. They understand the mechanics of the game. The only reason, or, motor skills can be a big argument that, Jimmy's got better motor skills. But again, why should a 60%, 70% player be throttled to only going up against only skilled people because somebody can't perform as well as them in skill? That's something that doesn't make sense, and it's a useless argument to justify your losing in battles. I feel that if you want to win more games, you should watch videos and learn how to get better, because it doesn't make sense. It's a lot of like the argument. I made a video once talking about, I was just playing in the KV2. Again, the KV2, I bring it up a lot. But I was playing in the KV2, and somebody said, oh, you get biased RNG and matchmaking, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what? Because my accuracy rating in tier 10 is about 90%. And yeah, you could argue that every now and then, maybe 1 out of 20, 40, 50 games you lose because you've had an unlucky RNG moment. Maybe you get a high roll and you die, or you get lit on fire. But mostly, I can't name scenarios where I lose due to RNG. And that's the same type of argument for the skill-based matchmaking. You can't make an argument and say that you're losing games because you're going up against skilled people. It's like the same argument that you're losing every game because you're going up against 40%ers. Usually, yeah, the matchmaker, sometimes there'll be games where, and I'll get annoyed when it happens, when I've got 20, 40%ers on my team, the enemy team has all 50, 60%ers. That's unfortunate, but usually that's maybe a 1 out of 10 scenario. It usually doesn't happen a lot. And while it is annoying when it does happen, again, I'm still able to average 70% in my tier 10s. A lot of skilled people that, 60%ers, they're still able to average the same average win rate. And in fact, with more 40%ers in the matchmaker, it's even easier sometimes to win games because you're winning a lot more of the engagements if you're going up against a 40% player. So the whole argument here of skill-based matchmaking, in my opinion, and almost every single person I've ever talked to's opinion, apart from some of the YouTube commenters, agrees with me. Martin Dogger made a video saying that skill-based matchmaking was useless. I'm pretty sure Bushko made a video saying it was useless. I know Meadsy made a video saying it was absolutely useless. And pretty much every YouTuber I know, every big YouTuber, made a video saying that skill-based matchmaking is the most useless way to fix the matchmaker. So hopefully for anybody out there that did have the idea that skill-based matchmaking should be put in place, well, first of all, just go try ratings, and you'll see that it's not as good as it seems. If you haven't played ratings, or you don't think ratings are fun, well, that's skill-based matchmaking for you in a nutshell. But the second thing is that for people that still think skill-based matchmaking is an argument, let me know in the comments down below what you could actually come up with as an argument, because for at least me personally, I cannot come up with a singular reason why skilled players should be throttled of going up against 40%ers. It's a public game. That's the thing I don't understand. You're more skilled at a game because you know and understand the concepts behind it. I know the weak spots of an IS-7. If this IS-7 doesn't know the weak spots of my tanks, I shouldn't be the one justified, or I shouldn't be the one throttled to only go up against more skilled people. That's not my problem that he doesn't know the skills and ideas of the game. That's actually his problem. People that don't want to learn to get better, and people that say that because they're a 40, 50%er, they shouldn't have to go up against 70% players. Well, if they learn the concepts of the game, they understood how to play, they fine-tune their skills, they would obviously be much better at the game. And that's one thing I will always say, is that if you want to get better at the game, make sure to learn the armor profiles of tanks. There's a wonderful website called Armor Inspector where you can look at not only the armor profiles of every vehicle, what certain vehicles look like when trying to penetrate them. Let's say you think the T-22 is absolutely overpowered because you can't pen it. Well, if you go bring up Armor Inspector, you can see the weak spots on it, because it's not actually too hard to penetrate some of the harder vehicles in the game. Now, obviously, tanks like the Smasher and other vehicles like that, those are broken, and that's a different argument for a different day. But the funnier part is that a lot of lesser skilled people buy the Smasher because they want to increase their win rate. That is not how you really increase win rate. Yeah, well, you may have a higher win rate in average on the Smasher. How many times you go up against a Smasher player that's a 40%er and they just sit out in the open and die, and then they blame the game? It's usually player skill if you're doing bad, because as much as I hate to say it, I've been able to average the same win rate for probably about the last year or so now, the last 2 years, and I haven't had many issues with it. Even though the matchmaker gets annoying, and I'll get my little hissy fit every now and then when I'll lose a bunch of games in a row, and I'll get annoyed, I'm still able to average the same damage and the same win rate. In fact, I've been doing better than ever in the last couple of months than I have been. So this is a good argument to show, yeah, I really don't get it. So let me know what you guys think about it in the comments down below. If you agree with me that skill-based matchmaking is one of the most useless arguments in the game, and if you think that skill-based matchmaking still should be in the game after hearing all of my arguments, please let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, because I will definitely be willing to debate it and hear what you guys think. But other than that, hopefully all of you are doing well out there. Stay happy, stay healthy, and to be seeing you in the next one. Obviously, this is an opinionated video. Just want to point that out there. So no harm to anybody that had this idea. If you had this idea and then you feel like, you know, you're absolutely attacked for me making this video, don't take it personal offense. This is just me stating the reasons why skill-based matchmaking has absolutely no relevance and makes no sense for the current matchmaker of Blitz. So let me know what you guys think about it in the comments down below. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and I'll be seeing you in the future. But other than that, hopefully all of you are doing well out there. And yeah, I guess I'll just repeat my lines again.